Welcome everyone to the Vernon Selectboard special meeting of December 12th. We can all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any public participation this evening? I guess not. We'll move on to the approval of minutes from the 5th.
Mr. Chairman,
Miss,
I got a couple, but I can now remember where it is. On page 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Ninth paragraph down, it says everyone has to been. There should be has to be on the same level. And then the last thing I had, there's more, I know, I just couldn't find my copy. This is a quick thing. But on page 7, just before the motion was made for the 4-day work week, we had talked to Mike Coughlin, because we had, I know I said, and I think Mike Ball had said too, that we felt that the town office should be covered 5 days a week, and
It says that in there.
Where does it say that? Because I couldn't find it.
I did remember.
It's on the bottom of page 6, last paragraph, second sentence.
Okay, but that wasn't put in, was that in the motion or not?
It wasn't during the motion that you talked to him.
So what does that mean?
Oh, it was not in, you mean, was it actually read into the motion with the exception of, it was not.
No, this is where.
That is what the motion read, because I looked at that twice.
Okay, because I thought that we were going to have him come in the 5 days to
And
keep it
he
open.
is under that, he's under
Understood.
that
Okay.
impression.
not him specifically.
Not-
Right,
not-
that there is coverage 5 days.
Right,
He is
okay.
under that.
And
All right.
it even says that he said that.
Yes, he did. That.
Yeah, but
that's
she thought it
exactly-
was supposed to be in the actual motion.
Yes.
And I did look at that, because I questioned that as well.
Okay.
I looked at that twice.
All right.
Your
First-
changes, yes.
First page, under minutes, second sentence, clarify J.J. Wheeldon, W-H-E-E-L-D-E-N.
I read those minutes several times. I don't know how I missed it.
That's the only way
W-H-E-E-L-D-E-N?
right?
Somebody's trying to get out.
Mr. Chairman, okay.
Is that it?
Yeah. So, Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Ball.
I move that we accept the minutes from Monday, December 5th, 2011, as corrected.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to accept the minutes from Monday, December 5th as corrected. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, on to the, we're going to skip the chairman's remarks and get straight to the budget presentations, so we don't have to keep you guys all night. Who would care to go first?
You never called me last week to remind me. And I didn't write it down, so I didn't remember.
Well, I know.
You were supposed to email me, remember? I just thought of it when Todd walked
I
in.
am?
You were going to email me and remind me. And I thought about it when Todd walked in.
Mike. Oops, thanks.
Raise again, should we make an answer? It sounds like somebody's really trying hard to get.
We should.
Is that
It
raising?
won't, it's not
You can't
ringing
pick up.
through here, but when their phone, when the daycare one rings, it rings here and then rings.
So you can't answer it there?
It doesn't even come up. It just gets, I just get the sound.
Oh, you can have that.
All right, so Sally, have you already incorporated these changes into yours?
No, because I'm just seeing this.
Because they look the same.
I have to look.
The ones that are highlighted are the ones that have been
Changed.
on my end. Southwestern was the
Yeah.
$7,775 increase.
Is that ringing out there?
Phil Terrell, which is the chief over to dispatch, kind of broke it down to, let's see, $79 and change a day for dispatching, or $2.96 an hour, 24/7, 365. And it's a $150 assessment fee and stuff, so,
So there's no way around that.
no. It's kind of a membership.
Oh, okay.
The ones with the little lines next to them are the new or rejoined members. I believe I'm up to 36.
All right, one question I have. The EMS rescue supplies, did we make a motion at last year's town meeting that those supplies would be coming out of a fund now?
No, that was the base supplies should be still coming out of here to keep track of it. It's special stuff that we need, like when we took the AEDs out, that's special stuff, but we have to also be careful because if we start to always fund stuff out of that, we're gonna deplete that fund fairly quickly.
Okay.
And it's our rainy day because at the same time as I believe Sally still is using that, that's the line item when somebody comes in and they say that they either have a bill that they can't pay or that they get their subscription out of. So that if, depending on how many people walked in, we might need that for additional subscriptions.
Yeah, and I think that fund idea was for, I think it would be brought before the board. I had that.
Yeah, that's board discretion,
Yeah.
but that was like when we did the AEDs, or if we needed, desperately needed something because we were running out of money, which I think we're going to be pretty darn close right now because of some of the supplies we've had to buy recently. That's just in case.
You didn't put anything in here, did you, for gas cards?
No.
Is that something that we want to be putting under us?
I don't know, I mean, I did want to have the discussion. I don't know whether it would go under, what budget it would go under. What do you think, Sally?
The gas cards, I would think if it's a select board gift, it would be either incentives for employees or something under you guys.
Actually, I increased the physicals too. From
Yeah.
being able to do 6.5 members to actually being able to round up to 10.
You want to talk about physicals, Sally?
Well, Mike had the idea of, we are going to visit the sites on Friday, and Mike's idea was to, in Greenfield, ask if they would be able to provide the physicals at a lower cost if we go with them. I thought that was a good idea.
Kind of one-stop shopping, if they're going to be taking care of the occupational health side of the transitional return to work policy, affecting that, and case management. And then they could also provide the physicals to the NIOSH certification requirements, and we can get them at a reduced rate, why not, So we could get, because there's, how many, you said we had 36 right now?
Yeah.
Not everybody needs a physical, but the majority of them do, and if
Do
you
you
turn
stagger
around
the physicals?
and,
This year, we kind of just did who came in to get them going as far as with EMS or fire. We basically were doing physicals in order to start, like driving apparatus or doing EMS and stuff like that. $406 a person kind of depletes it pretty fast. It'd be probably a good idea to check out the greenfield site.
so we can bring down the price, then we can have a rotation, how, every so many years, and they get a physical, and every year they get asked the questions. There's a NIOSH questionnaire, because you turn around and Bobby can't be respirator fit right now anyway, he's too shaggy. But you're not allowed to do it with a beard. But let's just say if somebody lost a lot of weight, you can't necessarily use the same respirator, same size respirator, same configuration, because your face has changed. You do how much weight have you put on? How much are you taking meds now? Has your physical, your health status changed? You answer that truthfully, because what you don't want to do is have somebody not be asked a question, you have to put on a respirator, and then basically have a medical issue in the middle of a call. So.
So with all of these changes, what does that bring that up?
Well, I added the stipend in too, and I took out the FICA because that's in another budget cut. It would bring it up with the stipend to $118,882, which is up 22.02%.
How many percent?
22.02. 21,457.
What'd you do for the stipend?
I put in 5, that's what it's been. I just put that in.
Now, the extra $2,000 for the truck maintenance, you want to just...
I spoke with Ed Sleeper. He's in charge of our truck maintenance. He didn't have time really to explain the full details. He just said that there's a lot of stuff coming up with him. And he's been busy with EMT class and running big guys, and I haven't really seen him much. I can definitely touch base with him. I have to anyways.
Well, didn't you tell me that was going to come down the line this year anyway?
Huh?
Didn't you tell me that this was coming forward this year?
I think so. I'm not 100% sure. It's been a while.
Can I ask a question? Todd, what about fire pond maintenance? Are you still, we've got quite a bit of money in the Dunkley Fire Pond, and we have some left in fire pond maintenance, or is that something that's actually going to be used, do you think?
Yeah, we've got some piping that has to be, the George's Mill has to be worked on. I got to do buy a new adapter for that. And then in the spring, we're gonna really start doing our fire ponds again. Keith Franklin said that he wanted to take that project on, so we just had a lot going on at the firehouse, remodeling and trying to get things finished up there, plus the EMS class, and firefighter one's in process now. So we just kind of ran out of warm weather time.
Do you know where the Dumpling Farm Fire Pond is at this point?
Absolutely
I mean,
not.
not the location, but...
No.
The status.
The last time I actually talked with Carol Hammond, and she asked me about it, and the last I knew was what we had the meeting here about, and she said that she would talk to Alfred, and haven't heard anything yet.
Because we had talked about helping the cost of that fire pond, so we'd have to be careful not to use too much money out of that budget.
Well, in Dunkley Fire Pond, there's $80,055, and in the Fire Pond Maintenance Reserve, there's $8,765.40. So there's quite a bit.
Yeah, so we should probably look at, see if we can find out where they are at that process and what it's going to cost, because we could maybe not have this $5,000 in this year for fire pond maintenance between what's in the Dunkley.
Fire
Well, the
pond.
Dunkley-
The Dunkley Fire Pond's for the particular
Right,
purpose.
but if there's money left over in that.
There's $8,000 left in the reserve, so I have no idea what everything would cost. I just figured I'd ask. I know the auditors would ask.
Well, the 5,000 would be for all the other fire ponds we have, not just Dunkley's or just specifically for the post office fire pond.
But will the 8,000 in the other fire pond fund cover that?
But yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I wasn't aware that there was another fire pond fund.
You guys given any more thought to basically going out and contracting the service out,
For?
fire pond maintenance?
No, haven't thought that far.
It was something I was thinking about. It just simply, it's getting harder and harder to maintain this licensure. The state is changing it so that we have to go through a credentialing process, so that you have to have, it's like a bingo sheet, and you have to make sure that emergency vehicle operation, your licenses, you have to basically prove the fact is that you can do all the different things that are within. The state's going to come down. They're going to now be inspecting our equipment, as well as to talk with all of the different personnel. And if they don't measure up to the state standards, they basically put them on probation. So the amount of attention that we have to put to credentialing is huge, and just the firefighter 1, firefighter 2, the training and whatnot. You get to a certain point where, when do you go into overload? And the fact is that you can't get to the stuff like fire pond maintenance, which is a big part. If you don't have water sources, then you can't basically put the wet stuff on the red stuff. So
Imagine that's going to be pretty expensive.
it'll get done.
What do you mean by the state coming out and talking to everybody?
That was what we said the other night in the meeting, was that with credentialing, that was
I
what
thought that
Mike
was just
said.
EMS.
Yeah, with EMS, I was talking EMS.
Okay, well, we're on fire pond.
I know, I'm just saying is that with the amount of time that we have to put into as providers, do we have the time to do something like fire pond maintenance? So
I don't
it
see
was
why
just
we-
a thought. That's all it was. You can take it, leave it, whatever. But at the same time, if that was one of the cases to do, then the 5,000 that's currently in this budget would probably be needed.
Well, if I could get all 36 members to equally participate in the department, then we would have plenty of time to get things done. And that's that.
It's a lofty goal.
Shot in the dark.
Well, you get all these new people, too.
You know,
Nice job.
the new people doing a really great job.
And some of them already have former training, too, right?
Yeah,
So they have to come back.
Keith Franklin, Nate Franklin, Ed Sleepers come back. Just,
Mindy?
well, she's new.
No, but she was part of another
Oh,
department.
yeah, up in northern Vermont. But,
Where did that list go? Do you still have the list?
Good list.
Oh, can I see it again? Sorry. I don't know.
Does anybody have any other questions about the fire department budget?
Nice job.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think Chris Howe has an
Copy
actual
of this?
copy of the updated that Tiffany gave her.
You just pulled that off the website, right?
Yeah. Actually, Ray Balbo is in charge of doing all the website stuff now. So he's started on that, I think, Saturday. So that'll be his sole duty, so to speak, for extra stuff besides EMS and firefighting.
Or he's EMS also.
That was a question we had earlier. How many people you got on EMS now?
Twenty.
Yeah, because we got
We have 5.
8 that have passed.
Do I have 5? 15 went through the first responder class, and then the 15 plus 5 that we had before.
And plus panel motto
Oh, that's right.
For
Forgot about Pam.
EMTB. So
So we're getting there.
getting there, slow but sure.
Good.
We did our first breakfast
Oh,
Saturday.
yeah, how did that go, the Santa Claus breakfast?
It went fairly well. I don't think we had as many people as, we kind of shot for as far as purchasing, food and stuff, but it went very well.
Well, you got some good comments.
There aren't
Yeah.
as many little kids in the town as there used to be.
We had a family from a different department say that they had such a good time that if, we asked, and tell them when we're going to have it the next time, they'll donate a gallon of maple syrup. That's how much fun they had.
Oh, that's great.
So, and
We
the
kinda-
kitchen,
And the kitchen is just about 100% completed. The range hood's on order, should be here before Christmas, so that'll be one of the final big projects done.
yeah, I think we had like 6 people actively cooking with other people running in and out, and we weren't in each other's ways.
That's great.
That was pretty awesome.
All right, well, thank you.
Thanks, Todd.
Who wants to be next?
I don't know if you want me to report
I don't recall any questions we had of yours.
We have here for finance committee meetings, so.
Thought you just liked visiting with us.
And since emergency, did we get one from Todd, an emergency?
No, that's right, we didn't. I talked to them about it.
Yeah, I guess we can talk about that, your unplanned fund. All right, Mike?
Yes.
I know I have it in there somewhere. Oh, that's, here, you want to take that, Sally? I think you want that, right?
Do you need one?
I take one. Can I have one?
Okay.
I don't do well when I have a headache.
So you level funded yours?
Yes, except for a couple projects that we need to talk about, which would increase that budget if we just extend my budget, put it in my budget. I'd rather see it in there than an article. These articles can be voted down, and these things are needed, in my opinion. It's up to the board, though.
Do you have a
ultimately.
copy of that?
This is just the budget that we got last week. It should be in your book. So what are these projects?
One of the projects is an AC unit in the police department. I have estimates for that. We've been replacing AC units in there every year. They're inadequate. Basically, they don't run all year, so we've been putting 1 or 2 in there a year.
What do we use in the rest of the building? Is it
We don't have
piping?
anything downstairs here. In their areas, the humidity is part of the problem also. So this unit would also eliminate or regulate the humidity to the degree in which it's get more comfortable in there. The estimated cost for that is $5,000. It's a split unit, so you'd have a compressor outside, and it would be a ceiling-mounted AC unit. We're talking about the AC unit for the PD, Michael.
Ceiling mounted as in here or on the roof?
Right in the ceiling.
Okay.
And it's easy install, a couple holes drilled out through for air intake and piping. So it's easy to do. Another issue in there was, with these window AC units, is security issues, which we have talked about in the past, but it's a matter of actually coming up and spending the money for a split unit, which would eliminate that problem.
Fire department put a split unit in. If you wanted to see what it looked like, you could just go down to the fire department and see what it.
All right, and the second one?
The second one is the North School window replacement. We did a couple different ways, looked at this in a couple different ways, which would be a matter of repairing what's there, reglazing. Literally, a lot of the glass is loose, the glazing's gone, and in the person's opinion that looked at this figures it may not even hold paint. So in that case, it's cheaper just to replace the windows with a vinyl window. The estimated cost for that was $7,600. This is not something that needs to be done right off. It can go a couple of years, 2 or 3 years, so it's a matter of somehow fitting that into the budget in a way. It definitely needs to be done, though, Michael.
Put one into the budget and one out of an article. Put the windows in an article, and if they pass, good. If they don't,
They can go a while
we'll
longer.
do it again.
Yes. Like I said, they can go, in his opinion, or in my opinion too, they can go anywhere from 3 to 5 years. Any real problems. It's just something that needs
Right.
to be taken care of.
It's gonna
But you
get
said you
more
really don't
expensive
want to
every
put it
year.
on as an article.
I don't, but if it's voted down, we could possibly go another route, because this is definitely something that needs to be done. I just seen in the past where, it's an article and it's something of this nature. If it doesn't pass, then we try to come around to another angle, possibly due to lack of words, and see if we can't manage to get it done in some other way. But again, it's up to the board. How you want to work that out.
How much, the window replacement would be how much?
7,600, Mike. It's an estimate.
You have no line item for that, really. You don't really have anything for North School in your budget.
No, there isn't.
Sorry.
Just,
I mean,
general budget as far as well.
Playing devil's advocate, what probably would be asked if I was sitting in the audience was, why do we even have that building now? What is its function? What is its purpose? Are we getting our bang for our buck out of that school, out of that building?
Well, we use it for storage, all our paper products, equipment. It's a matter of, it's pretty much full over there. They even talked about parking the police cruiser in there at different times.
Paper products, unused paper products?
No, paper towels,
Okay.
things that we normally use. The storage used to be in the boiler room. So well, I'll just say,
Yeah.
that's where all the
Not a
that's where all the
good thing.
storage was, so when we turned it into a boiler room, it all ended up over at the school. So it actually helped us a great deal, rather than building a shed or something of that nature for the equipment.
Now, do one of these buildings over here, do we store stuff over here?
Yes, that is,
That's
that
the
that
North
is,
School.
that is actually.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh.
That's what they call it anyway, yeah, it's
If
called
there
a
was-
storage building if you'd like, but that.
I was going in the wrong direction. Please forgive me.
If there was a way to improve that, to provide for a little bit more service, and bump that up to 10, then it would be based on being put in the capital plan, funded over a couple of years incrementally, and, then you basically get the windows done, and it's basically modified, whether or not you had to put in a storage rack system in order to be able to put a cruiser into it,
I really can't come up with any suggestions or ideas in that. I mean, we have racks over there. I see where you're going with it, but I'd have to give that some thought as to what improvements maybe we can make other than the windows.
Right.
Possibly.
Right.
They were
Because
talking about
that's-
an automatic door.
Right.
They put a cruiser in there, but that's a little expense there, really.
But then you'd also have to, in order to keep the cruiser, it should really be a heated building if it's not.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't go through that expense.
Just sitting outside now.
What ends up happening though is that technically is that if you have any equipment, there's a bunch of equipment, you have to basically, like every night when I leave my car in the garage, it's not a heated garage, which means I have to lug all my equipment into the house. And then I have to make sure that if it's not a nice warm day, I have to lug all my equipment into work with me. So having a heated, enclosure for the cruiser would make it a lot better for some of the equipment that they have.
Is that happening now?
It's-
Yeah, is it happening now?
Technically, when they had the first aid kit and the O2 bottle in the back of the car and the AED, right now for the AED, they have to bring it in. They have to take it out every time they stop. It's just an idea.
No, it is, but depends on how you want to utilize the building again. You start putting it in, it needs to be insulated. The windows, basically, that we were quoted, are not insulated windows. It's just going by cold storage. So it changed things dramatically as far as.
How much
Pretty good.
room is in there?
Pardon?
How much room is in there?
Oh, I would say
Right
it's.
now, because it's all
I would say it's
storage.
about, yeah, if you look at the whole building, it's about the size of this area, give or take 10 feet here or there. Yeah. There's not any attic storage or anything of that nature. Just, they poured a slab and set the building on it. I was told it used to be up at the corner of Tyler Hill and 142. They actually moved it to its present location.
If it's not 10,000, then it would have to be a warning. If it's a one-time shot.
An article.
Mhm.
All right. So we've got that on the list, and you want to add your $5,000 for the air conditioner to your budget. Is there a line item we can do that too?
Yeah, it would be building repairs and maintenance, I would think.
Yes.
So instead of 7.9, it would be 12.9.
Why couldn't the window replacement be under building repair and maintenance also? I mean, North School is a building that
It
They have to
is.
take care of
You
It could be, but it
But
depends
it's-
on.
I think it's, the line item refers to this building generally, the town office complex. So I would rather see it, I could put it, a new line item in North School and have it be there. I'd just like things to be understood, by a taxpayer. I think looking at that, you wouldn't think necessarily it was a building apart from the town office.
Okay, I mean, I guess I just thought of that as part of the town office, because it's on the property, you know, so it's all part of the buildings that need to be taken care of, that's why I asked that.
So we could change the line item there to buildings too.
Right.
Buildings, repairs, and maintenance.
Just wanted to ask.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine. You guys, this is your budget, so you can do it the way you want to.
It's because of the fact is, I'd almost rather have it say town office building repairs and maintenance, because you have South School called out separately, so it'd be town office building repairs and maintenance, North School repairs and maintenance, or repairs and maintenance North School, and then repairs and maintenance South School.
Because that is separated now.
But it's a separate area, that's what I
Well,
mean,
it
you know,
is,
I mean,
you're
the
right.
South School is
Far away.
not, I mean, I look at
On
this
the
as
location.
town hall grounds, so any buildings that are on town hall grounds are part of town hall maintenance, but I'm just.
That's how I view it myself.
I kind of prefer it in an article. If it's not something that needs to be done this year, we give the voters a chance to say yes or no on it. I mean, we just, this is my concern. I'll lay it out on the table right now. We're spending a lot of money on this budget. And personally, I don't think the time is right to be spending all of this money. The economy looks a little bit decent right now, but I think we're far from being out of the woods. And you don't know what's going to happen over
That's
there.
the big thing, you don't know what's
You don't
happening
know,
across the street.
I mean, the government doesn't know what's going on. They're going to drop some cuts on us in January.
Right.
And then the feds are going to drop cuts on us, the state is going to drop cuts on us. I feel that it's not right to be having 22% increases in all of our budgets. And I've got some big concerns over this whole budget right now.
What, I'm not sure where we're at right now and what you would like us to say. Or what, do you want feedback as far as, or, you know, because we need to.
Mike,
Yes.
what's wrong with the air conditioners that are there now?
Well, they pretty much run 24/7 when they're in there, and they just don't last, right? We replaced the one in the spring, then the summer, well, actually toward last fall. And we replaced one this year already. They just don't, they're not adequate for the area, then you could double them up. They're just problematic, and again, it is a security issue. It has been right along, having an AC unit in there. So with that being said, in the long run, these things run so much more efficient, these split units, and it's just a done deal. You know, you basically just replace the filters and grease them, and away they go. So in the long run, I believe it'd be a savings, and they run so much more efficiently that it was recommended years ago to put one in there.
I think eventually there needs to be one down in this main part as well to keep the humidity down in here. I think that we should put the windows in the article and see where it applies.
Well, it certainly would be an easier way for people to, you know, the hard thing though is people sit at town meeting and, you know, after article, and it all sounds good one-on-one, and then they get to the end of the night and Sally has to stand up and say how much money everybody spent. It's,
Oh, yeah. And again, these windows can be, again, I mentioned 4 or 5 years. I think they're not a problem. It's a matter of, we just need to look into this for the future.
I think people's big concern this year, And I agree with what you're saying about the state and federal government, because there are going to be a lot of cuts coming down to the towns. But I think the biggest concern for Vernon people is going to be what's happening next door. I mean, people are going to be very frugal and very afraid when they go to town meeting this year.
The board's pleasure is, I mean, we could go with another AC unit, window unit in there. You know.
Forgive me if I'm wrong here, but I'm assuming you're talking about just the $500-600 units that you shove in your window at home,
Yes.
and those keep burning out, for lack of a better term.
Yes, Mike.
Given the structure of that
Mhm.
police department.
Yes, and they're inadequate, so we tried double them in the past, and they really don't do the job that's necessary in
Now,
there.
do they need to run 24/7?
No. It's just that I have witnessed that. That's why I said it. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah, why would they be running when there's nobody in the police department after?
I think they set a temperature on it, and it's a matter of, here we go again, it's a matter of the efficiency, and it doesn't ever get up to where it needs to be to shut down. They need to literally physically shut it off. Yes.
I think
That's part of it with
they
the,
run them to keep the humidity down as much as anything.
Well, a dehumidifier would be a little cheaper
I
on the
think they
electricity.
run those as well.
yeah.
Dehumidifiers, the problem with dehumidifiers is they put out,
The heat, that's it. Yes,
they
a lot of
heat the space, so then you're heating it, then you're using an air conditioner to take the heat away.
Still should be running an air conditioner 24/7 when nobody's in there.
You you'd have to put a timer on there that basically
We can
powers
easily
them
do that.
and coast
Yeah, what-
it down into the time period.
There's 3 rooms in there, right?
You know, true.
Yeah, one of the doors, basically the chief's office is closed at
So
times.
what's gonna happen when somebody else is too cold and somebody else is too hot?
Oh, it happens all the time here.
Now, and
In each area,
we can't hook it into the upstairs air conditioning system.
it's not built for that. It
They're not
it wouldn't do it, Michael. Especially in the library area, that's just running.
Oh, that's right, it's
the
balanced
edge
just
anyway,
barely.
so, yeah.
I don't know about that.
Not
I
a
think
big
you'd
enough
have to
unit.
replace the big unit for the building and make it a lot bigger and then
Yes.
put it downstairs so that there
Mhm.
was the one unit that could size and handle everything in the building.
Right on that side, basically, yes.
How much
So
would
it
that
had to
cost?
be resized. We looked into it once, I can't remember the exact figure, but this has been looked into, and actually how to get the system down there and everything, but it was an amount in which they didn't want to follow through with it. Let's just put it that way, I can't remember what it was.
How old is the one for that side? How old is that one over there?
I'm really not sure, Mike. It goes back some time. I'm assuming back when they opened the building, whenever they installed it back in the 70s. This unit's fairly new up here, considering it's probably 80s.
So maybe we should be budgeting in a capital plan to replace the one that's on that side no matter what. And as part of that, we use the room air conditioners until we get up to speed for the amount of money we need, because how long are air conditioners good for? 25 years? Big air conditioning units?
Indefinitely, if you replace the motors and the components.
If they're
Depends on,
available.
what route you want to go. I mean, we replaced the compressor in the AC unit on this side last year. Just the compressor, we replaced the whole unit, because the external part of it was fine. That's, depends on which way you want to go with that.
Almost sounds like we should have the financial advisory committee take a look at to see which is the best bang for our buck as far as for, the replacement of this unit or going with window air conditioning, and what is the most economical basis in order to, for the town, based on the cost of the split unit, cost of the replacement unit upstairs, and then the window air conditioners. Because that way, it'd be based on some, actually, an evaluation.
I agree. we are running short on time.
Okay, I'd be happy to meet with the finance committee and maybe work something out with them, see what their thoughts are. I'll just
Okay.
give them the information I have. If they need help, I can give estimates.
I can give Sheldon a forewarning that you'll be looking for him.
Okay.
Okay. And then we'll keep these on the table until we can.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Did he, might have missed it, did he say the emergency fund amount?
No.
No, you're right. Actually, you don't have one, do you?
Yeah.
Well, yes, you want a figure,
Oh.
I'm assuming, yes? Okay. Yeah, I think what you're looking for here is possible problems with the systems here, be it AC or whatnot, and the replacement of that, it is an emergency. Other than 10,000 of the emergency capital fund. I'm looking at 8,000, I think, if indeed one of these units went down. And, things of nature like perhaps the well or something like that went. So I was thinking around 8,000 because any more than that, I could probably cover the rest with my regular budget. Then it switches over to the emergency capital. You don't have that there, Michael.
Oh, you just
That
have that?
information, no, I
Okay.
have it here.
So do you foresee this happening? I mean, I know you can't foresee it happening, but are we at that stage?
I don't think so for years. It's hard to say. That's an older unit, the air handler up there, but then again, it's a matter of replacing parts. You start having problems with the whole unit going down, which would be the compressor and whatnot. I could foresee 8,000, depending on if it's multiples,
As long as the manufacturer is still making parts. Because
Mhm.
at some point in time, a lot of the manufacturers, because this is what I do a lot of, as far as having to do the evaluations for replacement parts, and they turn around and they're going along, let's change the line. They change the line, after so many years, they stop making the replacement parts for them, then you turn around, and if you need those parts, you gotta swap out the whole unit. The other thing that will really get you is whether or not that there's general corrosion, and it suddenly gets a lot worse, where it goes over hits the down the slope, the slippery slope in corrosion. The next thing you know, you get enough corrosion on it, you got to replace it because you're not going to weld repair the thing. And so, Michael's saying 8,000, Todd was thinking 7,500 for him. All these different people come up with money. The thing about it is that we haven't had, like, when was the last time the road department came in and said, we need money, oh my gosh, we need money, the rec department did, the fire department has in the past. So if you turn around and say, if most people come in and say, well, if it really got bad, it would be about 8,000, then you say, well, how many of the departments have come to us in a single year? And if you say, well, 2, but let's make it 3, you put 24,000 in. And then you don't put any more.
Yeah, you don't put 8,000 for each, but
Right.
it gives you an idea, because you're right, there's not going to be 15 things that are
Throw
going
the
to go
dice,
Yeah.
And is this something we want to do through an article, or is this something we want to add to the budget?
This was under our budget.
Is it a line item?
This was, remember we had talked about that? We have control of it. They come to us and they say that, we need this money and, this is the reason why, and, we're not going to basically be stingy, but at the same time it provides some measure of control so that the townspeople are saying, well, there's basically a balance here. Checks and balances are in place. So.
Can we add this to the discussion that the finance committee is about to partake in? I mean, that will be part of their due diligence.
Emergency fund?
No, this air conditioning,
Oh.
the $8,000 for the air conditioning.
Well, he's saying is that if he, that for him, make sure I'm right, but for the custodial work, because of the well and because of other things, if something were to break, that he'd need, it'd be about 8,000. If it was a little less, then he'd probably be able to cover it out of his budget. It gets up to a certain point where the tipping point for him is 8,000. He can't cover that out of his budget. If it goes over 8,000, he'll probably be able to get it up to 10,000.
Okay, so you're talking about multiple things.
Yes.
Okay, I thought you were just talking about that air
No, it
conditioner.
could be multiple,
Okay.
Michael, yes.
All right.
Under the certain circumstance.
I mean,
yes.
it's like.
We hope
rec-
not, but
Yeah. Rec department was pump,
yes.
piping,
Mhm.
valves, what else went on there?
That pool repair?
Yeah, yeah. So, it's just like you turn around and you say is, well, okay, let's just say is that for each of the different departments, they say is that worst case, the thing that breaks this year, if it breaks, it's going to be 8,000. Then you say is, well, we're going to cover that because not every department's going to have things break unless it's a really bad year. That not everything is going to break. So based on that, we say we're going to cover 3. We're going to estimate that 3 departments are going to need it. Typically, it's only 2. But 3 might need it, so we put 24,000 into the line item, 25 to make it a nice even number. So. That was my thought.
Anybody else have any questions?
We go back over these again, right? Just the select board?
Yeah,
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
but we've only got like
Actually vote
next
on it.
week.
Well, I know that, but I mean, I didn't know if now's,
Good time.
I
No,
like
because
some time
Sally's
to look at
going to
everything.
put all this together and give it to us, and then we'll
Okay.
do one final review, and then we'll have a couple of public, or at least one public hearing that we can discuss it with the public as well.
But that's after it goes to the printer.
Yes.
So Sally puts it together and we just vote on it. We can't add or delete or, is that what you're saying?
No, you can't.
We're going to have a discussion, not just as each department comes in, but on, okay. Because I like some time to
Yeah.
look at this stuff and process it. I don't want to make a decision about everybody's budget tonight
No.
or as they come in, okay? And I don't mean yours, I'm just,
No.
I wasn't picking on you.
No, I know.
All right, if no one has any other questions for Mike, I thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice holiday.
David, I don't think anybody had any questions on your budget. You were pretty much level funded, I think, for the most part.
Emergency.
But we didn't go over your unplanned emergency fund.
This was just some ideas that you guys wanted. Basically, none of this, well, some of the stuff on rear ends, the smaller stuff would be covered, but depending on the price. Gas boy and fleet key, none of that's, would have been Rob Peter to pay Paul. So I just figured we just went through one sensor on the gas pump, so that was $800 and some odd. That's when we found out that fleet key's already outdated. So, it's out there. Anything could happen, whenever. Then the fuel pumps are 21 years old now. The pumps themselves.
Haven't we talked about that before? No.
Please.
So what are we looking at?
It's hard to say, depending what goes. I got some in the budget to cover stuff. But if you, like Mike said, 8, that'd be, it's just if it happens, hopefully it's only one department that year. But
Or-
things can happen.
Yeah, if we were to cover 3 departments at 8, in that, that had that's what we put away, then typically, since we've only had like 2 departments in the past come in with issues like that. But the one that was, that was covered under the emergency when the truck hit it.
Yeah, well,
That
that's
was
what I
enough.
figured. Some of this will hit that,
Yeah.
so, it'll be the smaller stuff,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah, VY just changed out to the 2 diesel fuel pumps on site. And that was in, they were probably in about the same amount of time. So,
And ours are the old suction pumps right into the tank. So we don't have all the plumbing,
yeah, I think that this is what this was too.
so.
This is,
It's,
thank you.
a week ago. I left it there. I'm
All right,
frugal.
and as far as you know, the van budget, is that all okay?
Yep, I increased that
Okay.
at the van.
Just $500 for gas,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
No, that gas comes out of their own.
All right,
the
I
senior
don't
account.
see any increase then.
Yeah,
Oh, the
1,000.
van's in mine, the actual van it's in.
Oh, okay, I'm
You
looking
must be
at,
looking at senior.
yeah, I'm looking at theirs, which,
The last budget for David, for equipment repair and maintenance. Going from 500 to 4,000.
so Patty, have you been able to get in touch with the seniors to make sure that they're all set?
No. I'll come to the one this one.
I know they had a meeting and Cookie gave me their information, so I believe they did discuss it.
Okay.
I had notified all the committees by email that the select board would be looking for it, and so in their next meeting, maybe they could talk about it. I know planning is going to be talking about it on Thursday.
So can you just give me, what is the parking lots fund for the van?
That's just my notes on the
Oh.
right side. That's for the money for that parking lots fund that you opened at the beginning of this year,
All right,
actually.
that has nothing to do with the van.
No, those are articles.
David, did you say you increased the van budget by 500?
Yep, 500 is all. It's
The
just
line
9,000.
item.
The line
Yeah.
item.
Then salt, then gas and diesel. And there was some I tried to put down to help offset.
Maybe we won't use any salt this year.
Oh, that'd be nice. There's 3 of us going along with that idea.
Does anybody have any further questions for David? Well, thank you.
Already.
I think the only other one, police department. Now, did you see this one, Sally?
Yes.
Okay,
I
so
changed-
that's incorporated into,
It's incorporated in mine here. I don't know if it's in yours there, because I didn't redo these after. No, but you've still got lieutenant in yours. I took out lieutenant.
okay, that was my big question.
Yeah, lieutenant's gone. I checked with Mary Beth. And that, sergeant is 36,1, wait a minute,
41.
41,680 is sergeant.
Yep.
Okay. And we've got for patrolmen $73,011. And part-time patrolman is 36,161.
So those just offset each other.
Pretty much, yes.
And then the rest of it looks pretty level funded except for training and uniforms. One of the things we did discuss in the past, or at a previous meeting, excuse me, was the issue about animal control. Have you talked to her about that, or?
I asked her to put together a plan on how to transition, because, you know, you turn around and we're using the cruisers now to transport the animals, even though, you know, that may not be the right thing to do. But at the same time, if you're not going to do that, number one, who's going to do it? What is the equipment they're going to use? What's the training? You know, we're going to significantly increase, because we're going to have all of the same patrol functions that are going on with the police department, and you're going to turn around and add for that. Do we have that as constables? You know, the constables could be doing that. That could be an assigned duty as far as for the constable. If we're going to have constables, then they should have some responsibility. Now, a constable cannot perform the duties that the constables used to do, because they basically passed a law that stated that constables had to be certified police. Legislature did that. And so...
That's right, they did.
And so that they put it, I think it was
Because we had
July.
constables that were passed, that were doing things that they really were not trained to do.
Right. So that, when I think that went into place July 1st of 2010.
I can't remember.
It's July 1st of 2010 or July 1st of 2011. Anyway, so unless they're certified police officers, either part-time or full-time, they cannot perform actual police department or police functions. So do we say is that they're going to be doing, you know, animal control? The bottom line is we have to come up with a way that, you know, who's going to do it, where's the equipment going to, you know, the line item for the equipment, the training, and for paying, you know, for what's the, you know, is it going to be a per animal, basically, payment to do that? But what's the transition? How are we going to get from where we're at now to where we need to be? And, you know, I asked her to take a look at that, think about it. I haven't heard back from her yet on that.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I'm not willing to spend a penny more on having a constable. So, I mean, I just think, you know, we're spending enough. I think people are very concerned about what's going on, and I also think that, you know, one of the things I'm hearing a whole lot is, if we don't have Vermont Yankee, do we need a police department? So, you know, I just, I'm not willing to do it. I just don't think that they're that busy, that the dog issues can't be part of their responsibility, so.
Yeah, it comes down to putting an animal in the back of the cruiser that, you know, and I can see that if somebody is allergic to animals, or cat, or whatever it happens to be, you put somebody back there, then you put an individual in the back of the cruiser for transport, and then they end up having an, you know, allergy or asthma attack or whatever it happens to be. It's a pain in the butt, but that's just the way it is.
And how many times has that happened, and how did we handle this for the past 100 years?
it's
Okay, not
the-
100, because we haven't had cars that were cruisers for 100 years, but still.
The police department has only been doing it since that we had an issue with,
That's not true.
really?
That is not true. For a long time, we didn't have a dog catcher, or if we had a dog catcher, it was somebody who lived in town who may not be here. All the time, Ian was police chief. They were always the dog catcher. It was only when we had one person who loved animals and wanted to do it. It wasn't even a, we have to, am I right? It wasn't even we have to have a dog catcher because our police department's too busy, or none of these issues that are coming up now. We had a dog catcher because she loved the job and she offered to do it.
Right. I remember my dog got arrested and they brought him down to the town garage.
Yeah, mine
We used
too.
to have the pin down
Yep.
there.
It cost me $15.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I had a dog and a little guy in Brattleboro who took off on all of us. We all ran down the street, couldn't find him. The Brattleboro police brought him home. It wasn't the dog catcher that brought him home. He was a little dog running in the street. The cops saw him and brought him home. You know, it's not true that we always had a dog catcher, though.
No, that's...
We only had one for a short time.
That's not what I was trying to say. I was trying to say is that we had somebody who basically was performing that function. Then when I believe it was because the pens down at the, behind the town garage were falling apart, and there were some issues that we changed over for the police department to do it, and then take it up to Wyndham, because I was on the board when that happened, when we got into the Wyndham County Humane Society contract.
Well, it'd be cheaper to build a new pin behind the highway garage than to...
Well, we don't pay for the Wyndham County Humane Society portion, that's the owners of the...
No, but if we were to find a dog catcher, it may cost us money to pay for one, is what I'm saying. You know, a lot of people in town are looking at it like, you know, we already pay for a police department. We're not, this isn't a city, it's not Brattleboro. We're not going to pay for a dog catcher also. Why are you looking at me?
I look at everyone who speaks.
I know.
It's an issue that we need to do something about. I don't know who should perform the function, but there's just been some incidents in the past 2 years which I believe would require us as a town to have somebody performing this function.
See all the times that basically people have gotten into trouble. Some of the biggest problems we've had are barking dogs and dogs biting people, and you know.
They just bite back.
Only some of us do that.
No, I agree. It's an issue should be taken care of. I just don't agree we need a dog catcher to take care of it.
I'll talk with Mary Beth tomorrow and just remind her that I had asked about coming up with some sort of recommendation on how we can do this, you know, with the least amount of impact as possible.
We can put the dogs in that little play area out there. Okay, so are we okay with the police
Highway garage
department?
used to work well, right, Bobby?
And then I believe that just leaves us with the select board budget.
I don't think you have, do you have the cemetery one filled in there?
Yes, we do. I just saw it.
Yeah, I passed it.
I know I saw it.
I know she has it ready, did she?
47. I've got it, so
Okay.
I can give it to you. I thought she gave it to me after, but it's account 17147, so it's...
Yep,
Is there anything
Yeah.
on that?
I've got a level
No.
funded budget
Okay,
here.
well,
Oh, there's nothing on it.
There's nothing
I'm
on
sorry,
it,
yep.
okay.
Then
So
100%, that's how it should be.
Minus 100%.
caretaking would be 16,900, that's your new
How much?
contract, 16,900. And then the rest is level funded, 750 and 1,000 for a total of $18,650.
We like that. Less than last time.
In addition to that, I'll give you a tiny other bit of good news. The Wyndham Solid Waste Management District, they're having public hearings on their budget this week, but that budget is coming in under as well. It started out at almost 8% under, but at the last meeting they made a couple of other adjustments regarding dental insurance and other employee benefits, and it's now probably hovering around 4.5% less than last year. So that's going to come in a little bit cheaper as well. And I'll have you those exact figures and the assessments to the town as soon as those get reformulated and mailed out. Okay, and you've got the rescue from the minutes of the
Yeah.
last one. The health, public safety,
Right.
you're gonna level fund that.
It's up to you guys. That's number 66, 11766.
It was almost there.
Right after the rescue one.
I don't have it.
You don't have
Yeah, I was gonna say, I can't see on this one either. Are you missing it?
Public safety,
Yeah, I
I'm
don't-
using last week's
it? Last
documents.
year?
No, the one we had last week, but this is the new one that you gave me.
I have it in mine. You guys can make this one. It's right here.
Who's the sewage officer?
The sewage officer is Mark Snow.
He's both.
He's both. And he only gets paid really for health officer. Sewage officer would be for inspections. And isn't the state doing the inspections now, something with the, so I don't know why that's.
Pretty sure.
Yeah. I think for health officer and deputy health and the permits, I question why we still have sewage officer.
Has any money ever come out of it?
Well, it has, but not in the past 2 years.
I mean, I know he worked a little bit 3 or 4 months ago when they had that issue with.
Right, as health officer though. And I think because the state, our sewage officers used to inspect the systems and then get paid for doing that. I don't believe that's going on, but Mark would know for sure. I know he still has health officer duties, but
Pretty sure it's state. State does.
yeah, I think
I
that
think so too, that's why I asked what the sewage officer
At the same time, depending on what the impact is on his time to do the health officer stuff, is whether or not that needs to be bumped up. We should ask the question. Because we are all the health department. But at the same time it's nice to have somebody that can run interference for us and basically be out in the trenches so that we don't always have to go out.
Why don't we take half of the sewerage money, bump up the health officer, and not fund the other half of the sewage?
Well, he just saved $1,000.
I think it would be respectful to ask the question.
Yes.
based on how much time that he's been putting into it, because, you know, the 82 Huckle Hill has increased, you know, the amount of time that he has to be out there, because people call him up a lot more. So depending on what that he feels is reasonable for the amount of time and whatnot, I think it would be good to ask the
Usually
question.
it's paid, they just get paid yearly, not by,
We pay them
Calls, right?
twice a year, yeah.
so it's not by
December
calls.
and June. Sewage used to be,
So
And
there's
then
no
the
knowing how
firework-
many calls are made in the course of a year.
not if he's not keeping that information, no. In the past, we knew what the sewage officer was doing
Mhm.
because he would
Because it was paid by
submit that, yeah.
Yeah.
So shall I let them fund it until we do everything?
You wanna call him,
I think we should.
What?
Ask him relative to his workload, if he's performing more than the 2,000, or is that sufficient enough to, because I'd hate to lose him.
Yeah, I mean, I just, as I said, there's no knowing. He could go out 4 times a year, he could go out 20 times a year, we don't know that.
well, you're gonna ask him if, based on the amount of money that's there, and his time, as far as whether or not he thinks it's fair to the town to basically bump that up, or is he still happy with his stipend? So,
What? Can I have that?
Can I make a copy?
Sure. So we can leave it level funded for now.
The school, you have yet to hear from them about what they'll increase the rental by, and I
Mhm.
did send them an email about that. They're not meeting tonight, they're meeting tomorrow night, so they might have an answer.
Okay.
no matter what, it should be at least 3%.
Yeah, probably.
3.6%, excuse me.
Select board?
Get back to Mike, please.
One thing that stands out to me a little bit, I don't know if it does to you or not, is the amount of work we're asking Katrina to do. And we had cut that budget the prior year, and this year we're going to be over budget on that. I don't know if we want to increase that or not. And the other thing that we might consider is legal services. I think we're a little bit over budget on that this year as well.
I can look and see what we're at.
You say this year was the close of on June 30th of 2010 we were over budget, or we're, in our
Correct,
incremental
yeah.
budget, we're over right now?
Yeah.
Okay, Currently, you're doing okay in the legal service area. You've budgeted 15 and you've spent 4571.72. You have 10,428 left for this year. Last year. Last year, our overs were 1653. That's it.
My concern is the utilities. That could draw a lot of court time.
What is left in that legal fund that was the sewer fund that we changed to the legal fund?
You mean the professional services
Thank you.
fund?
We've changed the name on it so many times I can remember what the name was.
That is restricted, but I can tell you.
That was specifically for utilities.
Hmm?
But the professional services fund was specifically for utilities.
Utilities.
So we would be able to.
So we would be able to use it,
Well, you,
depending on how it's worded.
yeah, it depends what, for legislation with,
No, this is actually for the court case, a court case to defeat that.
but with the utilities, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so you could use the professional service.
How much is
Let
in
me
it?
just see what, gotta give me a second. I have to look at it. I have a lot of things.
All right, as of the book last year, it was at 124,558.
Yeah, you got, now these are two different amounts, I'm just gonna give them to you because there's 55,803 in the money market, and in the trust, there's $92,060.
So we gained a little interest on it.
So, but I don't know if the wording has changed at all, but last I knew, the way it was worded, we could use it for utilities
Yes.
To
issues.
represent the town of Vernon's position on issues relating to utilities.
So we could use that again. So we don't have to worry about that.
We could level fund that one.
Mike, did you end up asking that question that I had about legal to Richard?
Oh, it's going to change.
There's two answers to that.
Okay. Will that impact this line item perhaps?
It shouldn't.
Okay.
Yeah, because they could turn around and say is that they want to renegotiate the contract, or that for starting at July 1st.
This is different.
But that is a thought too. I don't know if
Oh,
the legal
I
firm
see.
will go up on there. Yeah.
Totally separate, to re-sign, and when we go to re-sign with them, they say is that we want to bump it up, because I think it's 6 per month, right?
Yes.
Then we shop.
That's like jumping off a horse in midstream at this point in time.
Sally's question was regarding the pending litigation and whether or not our insurance coverage would cover.
That was the whole thing, is depending on how it worked out, is that it may and it may not.
Right.
I mean, that's the way it's always been. They turned it down, VLCT turned it down, but Richard said, depending on what comes out of it in the discussion, it may change. And VLCT said the same thing.
Hence your two answers.
So, would that be something you put in your emergency line item, or would you put it?
I don't think it would even, it would be a special town meeting that would have to, because of the
okay.
magnitude. It would be it would be a big hit. So it would require, we couldn't, it's like VY, I mean, you know, that's a huge hit too. So how do you play it? You play it right down the middle, that we're gonna be successful. And if in the future, when this budget came around and the final answer came out on VY, we'd be having a special town meeting anyway.
Mhm.
So how do we want to proceed with administrative assistant salary?
I want to go to 9 minimum.
Well, if you've got an average hour of work per week, and you and Katrina come to that conclusion, I can do that with, the information I have
Okay.
with salaries at some point.
Why don't you think about that?
Mhm.
We'll batter some numbers around by email, and I'll inform the rest of all of us as to the progress of that and get your input, how you feel those numbers should be. Then once we've all come to that conclusion, we can give you that, and you can figure it out, and we'll just throw it in there.
Yeah.
Is that okay with everyone? Then that should cut it, I think, for tonight's budget discussion. Unless anybody has anything else.
Do we have an answer on the newspaper that was, are you doing the newspaper again this year? I don't know, I mean, I've heard it tossed back and forth a couple of times.
I don't think anyone has volunteered to help Chris out.
No, I'm just, so, you're not gonna finish your budget? You mean?
Oh.
I'm confused. You've got quite a few line items left. I
Were you referring to this, of it was level funded?
I was.
Oh, okay.
That's what I thought you were saying.
That's what I thought.
Sorry.
The Vulcan mind went going on there.
Yeah, and then you've got also your general expense one that you do, which is 10,730 or 17130, which is advertising, telephone, postage, tipping fee, refuse, technology, all that good stuff.
Postage. How much longer is the trash pickup contract going to be in place?
It's good.
All right.
Triple T hasn't informed me that they want to make any changes to it, so I'm assuming that it's we're still in a good place with them.
It might not be a bad idea to check, because we're doing a fiscal, to see how they may be okay on a calendar, they may, I don't know. You might want to check.
I guess I don't
July
follow
1st.
your questioning.
Well, I'm not sure, I don't know how far out they alert their customers that they're going to make changes to their prices. But since our budget is not a January 1 budget, and it's a July budget, I don't know, is there anything that they're thinking maybe?
I'll call
went
Peter
for-
tomorrow and
Okay.
see if,
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
And I can tell you our insurance enrollment should be up to about 100 because our new rate was 98,000. We prepay part of it out of next year, but because of our workers' comp claim, pretty much, it hit us very hard. Yeah, so that's gonna be up $10,000.
yeah.
Seems like postage should be bumped. We were overspent by $643.45. And with all the rumblings with the post office lately, you know, I think that that's probably going to even go up again.
Mhm.
It's too bad we haven't been able to realize a lower tipping fee, not tipping fee, overall. Is that going up or is it going
You know,
down?
to be honest with you, I haven't done the statistics in a number of months. I would like to believe that it's going up. Have you seen the bill? I think the bills have increased. And I'm only basing that on what I see curbside. I mean, it's really, it's disgusting what people throw away and what should be recycled. It's so simple. And then all of the trash that we see down at the recycling stations. I will tell you this, part of the discussion we had at Wyndham Solid Waste last week was, it's not just us that is experiencing the illegal dumping. I mean, I know you guys saw it in the paper about Guilford. They've got a huge problem over there. And the district has gone to the expense of getting cameras, and cameras are going to be mounted at each of these sites. These are live cameras that can catch illegal dumping. And hopefully, they've also got signage that's being put out that says, you know, this is a $500 or $1,000 fine. This is littering, and they've already seen some deterrent just based on the signage that's been put out. So hopefully, with signage and with cameras, we can eliminate sort of that mess. But that's a whole other story. I mean, we're just not recycling as a town the way we should, and I don't know. I watch with great interest in what Brattleboro does regarding mandatory recycling and regarding if we find stuff in your garbage, we're going to leave it here. And I would love to see the town start to think about that.
And they do.
They do.
They
They'll
do.
leave it with a
Doesn't
sticker.
matter whether it's in a black bag, if they hear cans clicking around, or they think it's pretty light and maybe is stuffed with paper, they tag it and leave it.
Because, I mean, I just, you know, I can drive by somebody's house and I'll see a bale of hay. You know, throw the hay on your lawn or something. I mean, not even that. I'm sorry, I just get really emotional about seeing all this stuff that's
Driving by people's
compostable.
houses and seeing big cardboard boxes out in the trash, you know, break them down and bring them to recycling. I don't disagree, but I think that that's a decision that town's going to have to make. I mean, maybe that's something we want to talk about for an Australian ballot or an article at town meeting. Do we want to go to forced recycling, you know?
Well,
But we need
another
to know how
option
much
is
it's going to
even
save us.
It's even more drastic is to adopt basically what Winchester and Northfield have. We've talked about that, which is an up-to-date transfer station that has recycling and it has the transfer, but you are required to bring your trash down there and take care of it, and you have people that will then be there on certain days to watch it.
So what do you mean, put it in a dump and burn it?
No,
No.
it's a manned station. The trash would go in big trash containers, that Triple T would just come down and empty the retainer instead of going to each person's house.
So you force people, so instead of you also doing single point recycling, where you dump everything into what, a couple containers, you have multiple containers so that you are actually sorting it there. This whole single point thing, I think is totally whacked. We are basically just throwing it into a single container, and then we're having this bunch of people having to have an assembly line to go through and pick apart our trash to end up recycling it. And if a lot of places you just have your barrels that you are required, I would go down and I put my clear glass, my brown glass, my green glass, my white milk jugs, my newspaper, my magazines, my cardboard,
And your trash.
and my trash. And you literally would end up having to cut, they'd cut them open and then basically put the trash bags down in there, and you verify the fact is that it's what is supposed to be going in there. And if you don't, then you get slapped with a fine,
I think that's up to the townspeople to decide.
right?
Oh,
Because
it
it's all
is.
about
It
taxes.
You know,
is.
I mean, I think maybe baby steps, maybe get an article on asking if the townspeople want to go to recycling, mandatory recycling like Brattleboro has. Just put it out on your curb. But first we need to know what kind of money it's going to save, if it's going to save money, because that's what's going to make a difference as to how people vote.
Yeah, I mean, that line item right there is, you're not gonna get rid of that line item, no matter what we do. We're not gonna get rid of that line item, simply because we're always gonna have a certain amount of plastics and non-recyclable materials that, and that is gonna have weight to it. Albeit, it's not gonna be the food, it's not gonna be the hay, it's not gonna be the wet cardboard, which significantly drops the weight. And it will significantly drop the weight, but we're still gonna have at least a third, 25% to 30% of that line item.
Yeah, but we could bring that line item down.
Oh, yeah, we could save $50,000.
And that may be what helps people make a decision, but we've got to know what that number would be if we were doing mandatory recycling.
Or, there's what Hinsdale does. You buy your blue bag. Throw away whatever you want, but you're buying the garbage bags.
A lot of other towns have gone to that.
That just encourages me to throw more in the recycling. But it's a discussion that needs to be made, and it's one of those things where we as a community have grown comfortable with the way things are. And I get my trash picked up for free, so I'm going to just throw everything out. It's that kind of, and I don't want to say everybody has that attitude, but there is that mentality here, and it's one of those things that, when we start to think about the future and moving forward without that, again, it's something we need to think about.
It has a name.
VY, excuse me. And I didn't mean that as a derogatory statement either.
We're not going to have to, but I just think that, I think recycling is an important issue when you talk about the future of our town and our nation, and certainly the conversation needs to be had.
When we put our little Project Cow little composting container at the town offices, I had people from all over the country calling me because we're doing that as a community, and not other communities could begin to do that. And it's amazing the stir that caused. And now Brattleboro's doing it, and everybody's picking up on that. And it's so easy, and it saves so much money.
I put out a garbage can on average, or there are weeks that I can't do this, but on average, it's once a month with a half-full garbage can that I can literally pick up with one finger, because it's the plastic bags and the real light plastics. It's amazing. And the majority of the weight is then when I go down and they take it down to Cow is in my little black garbage can, and that thing weighs a lot.
But moving forward,
I use my garbage disposal.
So we've talked about increasing postage, we've talked about increasing the insurance. What were we doing with the computers?
I thought we were getting rid of them and going to
I think we were
paper.
going to do an article.
Yeah, 'cause
We're
it's-
talking about
it's-
an article for the computer.
Well, you were gonna, we had the security issue, because it's, are we
Right.
gonna go with a server? Because literally, you could go with a secure wireless instead of being all wired up, go secure wireless with a server, and the server is doing the heavy lifting. But then the question came up, could we use the libraries, and whether or not we could partition it off and still have the security we need? That question needed to be answered, and then once we had that, we could then see about what the cost was going to be. It looks to be an article no matter what.
Bill wasn't, I did email him about the server, and he wasn't feeling that we should share a server with the library because it's open for public. He didn't think that would be a good idea, but I am not a computer expert, as I always tell you guys. I'm not one to be doing anything about computer stuff. So, I can email, but I'm not.
I mean, my biggest concern is that we spend $10,000 on a server that 5 computers are going to be hooked up to.
Well, there's going to be 3 in Sandy's office, 2 in my office, and 2 in the Lister's office.
It's 5, 7.
So-
I mean, that's nominal. I mean, a $10,000 server could run many, many, many more computers than that.
And do you just use a better, PC that basically functions as a server with all the protection and whatnot that you want to have into it, especially as far as the backup capability? But you're running a regular PC and, you spend for a super nice PC, a couple thousand, It's like VY used to run the simulator with a mid-frame computer, and it would take up the space of, probably the room was from here, or a little bit more than that, like this over to there, right? And that was the space it took up. It sits on a desktop now. And we were one of the first companies in the world to run a extremely large simulator off a PC, and all of these companies that built simulators for the airlines and the military were coming in going, you can't be doing this, and they were like flabbergasted. We were pioneers in that. So you turn around on a PC, you don't necessarily need, the big server to do that job.
I've got what Bill wrote, I'll read it to you. It says, library server would be somewhat complicated because they have their own Comcast circuit, and the server is right on the internet as a web server. The library database is available to everyone on the internet directly. Security issue mainly of having a server on the internet for business records.
I guess is the challenge whether or not that, do you call Bill up and just say, hey, this is our concern, which is, we're only running 7 PCs off this bad boy, and how can we basically do this, not on the cheap, still have a nice server, but definitely is, because we're going to have to replace this on a fairly frequent basis. And whether or not we were running 100 computers off of it or 7, we're still going to have to replace it at the same period of time. We're not getting our bang for our buck.
Yeah. Okay. I can do that.
You're the only one who, I certainly couldn't talk to him about that stuff, so. Where are we with the telephone issue?
I mean, the consolidation of telephone accounts, we aren't anywhere. Something that we've talked about for a long time now, but it doesn't go anywhere.
So, does everybody have the same phone company?
No.
The building has Fairpoint and Quest for long distance, Fairpoint for local, Quest for long distance. David has Comcast, and Fire has Comcast.
Seth has Sovereignnet.
Yeah.
So why can't we just call Comcast and ask them to bid out the whole package?
put together a request for quotation and just say, this is our past usages, a combined usage and time for each of the different companies, a request for quotation, and send it out to all of those companies in order to make sure that we get the best bang for our buck.
You have back phone bills and stuff, right, with history? If I come into the office, can we look through that stuff and maybe figure out a...
I can give you printouts and you're welcome.
Okay, all right. Okay.
It was actually cheaper when we switched to Comcast.
It was cheaper when you switched to Comcast?
Now,
It was much cheaper when we did too, that's why I automatically said that.
your cells aren't on Comcast, though.
Nope. Computer, all that is now.
Mhm.
And it's cheaper per year than it was doing Sovereignnet. And do the, well, we got 2 phone lines down there.
But still, we could get all the landlines on one company and all the wireless, A, either on that same company, or B, if they don't provide wireless, with another company.
How many wireless phones do we have?
Not very many. David?
It's less than 50, right?
Yeah.
Then it's like Verizon, you can basically go to the local Verizon wireless store, because if it's more than 50, you have to go to a business-to-business representative, whereas if it's not, because Scott is, you have to be careful with nepotism, but Scott has said is if we wanted him to come in to talk about it, he would be glad to, or contact somebody to have him come in.
Let's do it.
I think we should.
Let's do it. I mean, I don't care who it is. We've got,
Well, it
stuff
should be a
to
request
talk
for
about it.
quotation based on who has coverage in the area, because US Cellular has really good service in Vernon, and Verizon has really good service because of the antennas on Princess
Right.
Lane and what's the other one?
We've got Verizon, and we have no phone service at our house.
Really?
Yep.
I have
On our
3G
cell.
right here.
I have excellent Verizon at my house. I'm only a couple streets away.
But,
We always lose our power.
but the real
We do that too, all the time.
Sally, if you
Every time I
buy
turn
the
around, we lose our power.
extender and plug it into your cable, then you have a mini wireless television. I have 4-bar 3G at home.
Yeah, but that's a $150 expense that you shouldn't have to pay. I mean, you should just get this service.
If, based on
Verizon, that's why we
where we're
allowed
at, the terrain
The
where
whole
we're
power
doing,
thing years ago, that
Yeah,
was
I
they
big.
know. They were like,
prioritize
okay, we got
the
the power,
91
come to the
corridor,
dock, and
Mhm.
we
right,
can-
with the antenna selection that they put
we can
in.
text them.
So they're trying to put it in on all the main runs, and then they're gonna come back and backfill in the rest of the communities. So we're waiting for all of the main corridors in Vermont to have wireless antennas put up. And once they basically have those cell towers put up, then they'll come in and backfill in all the rest of the places. Because they could have put it up on the stack, like a VY, or up on, above me, on Mason Brim at 1,200 feet, and you get a lot of coverage.
That's what we need, but we're digressing.
I'll go to the town office tomorrow and get that information from Sally and see what we can do.
I mean, that could actually be implemented fairly quickly,
Absolutely, and it
Yeah.
could save a lot of money.
on January 1st.
Okay. Well, I don't know if I could get it that quick, Mike, but
Well, it's the beginning of the, it's at the beginning of the year, so it's, if it, and I agree with you, it's not that quick, but at least it's near the beginning of the year.
at least get it started.
Right.
Stop talking about it and get it done. This is January 12th. I don't think I can do it by the beginning of the year. It's 2 weeks.
All right, so we good on that? So, based on what we talked about tonight, can you put us together something to look at this week, and we can have,
For the budget, you mean?
yeah,
Better write my note.
then we can have another preliminary discussion next week to figure out what's left.
Yeah, are we gonna move into salaries and stuff? Because you're gonna want to tell me
Yes.
something about that too, I'm sure. Okay.
I had to put a note down so I would remember.
I even know myself.
These are my notes for the evening. It's sad.
So, the first thing I think to cruise on into salaries and step adjustments in COLA, I think we need to take on where we left off last week regarding the couple of issues that Sally brought up. Does everybody feel that's appropriate?
I'm going to pass out these things for you. I did great. Or you can take one of each and pass them on down.
Okay.
That might be better. I'll take what's left.
I'm hungry dinner because I thought this was going to be like an hour meeting.
We're going to wrap it up after this.
I'm
So
hungry.
we were talking about specific people.
So we have to go into executive session. Mr. Chair,
Ms. O'Donnell?
I move that we go into executive session on personnel issues with Sally, on a personal matter, the disclosure of which at this time might be detrimental to the town and/or individuals involved.
Been moved and seconded to go into executive session with Treasurer Sally Brasser. A personnel issue, the disclosure of at this time may be detrimental to the town and/or the individuals involved. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, I have to go to the bathroom.
Oh, you can get the door.
Just do that.
Julie's aunt, and I've seen her do some really cool stuff. Her aunt is a massage therapist at Morristown Memorial in Morristown, New Jersey, and it's wicked cool. You can keep that.
That's like going to an osteopath. I mean,
No,
they just
they
like
don't-
stick, that's what they do is realign the fluids in your body. I mean, they don't do any manipulation at all. They
Right.
just kind of stick your fingers in your ears and stuff, and then...
The laying of the
they-
hands.
Yeah, in a couple of days you're feeling better. It's like, what is this?
It's called Eastern medicine.
Where's Katrina?
Did she leave?
I heard a door close. She might have gone in the bathroom or something.
Or she may have left thinking we were done. No, she wasn't herself out there.
All right. Does anybody remember what time we went in?
Long time ago. I didn't write it down.
It's probably about 8:45, wasn't it?
Wow.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was just like 10 minutes to 9. We were having just too much fun.
It was a fascinating conversation. Sally, can I get a copy of that? Do you have other copies of that in the treasurer's office?
I can make them.
While we're waiting, Chris texted me while we were in our meeting, and she apologizes for having to leave. She is extremely sick, and after she left, she did get sicker, so she appreciates our
She had said she wasn't feeling well.
letting us leave.
See ya.
Thank you,
See you-
Sally.
See you next week.
Night. See you on, are you going to be able to go on Friday?
Oh, you know, I'm not going to be able to. I need to take Susan to Dartmouth.
I have a board meeting.
I can't.
So it's you and me. Okay.
I'll talk to you.
I'm sorry, I've already committed to the retreat board meeting.
And it's important, or I wouldn't go with her to Dartmouth. But
Yeah, no, you need to do that.
that's got to come to an end.
My engagement on Monday, which is the reason I won't be able to be here Monday, has caused me to miss some work that I can't miss any more work. Therefore, I can't take another day off to do this little project. I
So
apologize.
Thursday, I'll be at, Thursday afternoon, I'll be
Thursday.
at Superior Court.
Yep.
But I'll still be available on Monday.
Inside the select board meeting.
The 19th.
Oh, right.
What time are you going on Friday?
I
Wow.
think we're at like 9:30, 10.
Good.
And then, after that, we're going over to do Greenfield first, and then we're going down over to Keene. So,
Can I just...
call your cell phone, and if I get out of my meeting and
yeah, you can meet
I
us.
can meet you somewhere just to kind of help out.
Yeah.
It would be very interesting.
Can I say that we went into executive session at approximately 8:45 and we came out at 9:25 with no action taken?
Sounds good to me.
Does anybody have any further business with the board?
Just to say is that I'm going to send you guys the questions that Sally and I came up with so far to ask. That would be a big help if you could take a look at those and see if there's anything else that you'd like for us to ask. We have a pretty comprehensive, and we included the Vermont Leagues of Cities and Towns suggested questions as well into that. So, but there may be something else that you could be asking.
Okay.
Excellent. Additionally, the report that I have to give to the auditors for the town report this year is due this week. If anybody's got any highlights or input that they would like me to include, feel free to shoot me an email or something, and I'd be more than happy to add it in. Otherwise, I will send you my finalized draft for everyone to go over and approve prior to giving it to the auditors.
You're not going to be here Monday night?
I will not be here.
I'd like to personally wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas and the best of everything that life has to offer in the new year.
Well, thank you, and I will wish the same to all of you. If there's nothing further,
Mr. Chair,
Ms. O'Donnell.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. I apologize for the late hour. I thought this would be sort of